Are you an empath who has had an issue with your body? Have you struggled health wise? Have you been burnt out? Have you had bad neurophysiology? Has your nervous system been like worn to the ground because of how difficult life is? In this video, I'm going to be covering a few reasons why this happens and how making peace with our bodies actually is the most important thing we can do to heal. So stay tuned. My name is Adam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we get started for today, please just like and subscribe to the channel. And I want to let you know I'm doing some more free breakthrough calls. These are excellent 30-minute calls where we go over your vision for your life, what you're inspired to create, what you're looking to manifest, and then we get into the things that are actually blocking you from creating this vision and the steps that you can take to call it forth once and for all. Okay, now, somatic healing, empaths, and the body. Just to briefly start with my own personal story, one of my biggest issues in my whole life has been with my human body. I have had major health issues starting when I was very, very little. I remember being completely beyond exhausted starting around 3.5 years old. I felt like I was about a 900 million year old man. I never felt like I actually had a youth because even though I did have friends and played baseball and I had a good childhood to a good extent, I never felt right. I always felt just completely fried. And so then I did drugs for 10 years in an attempt, a very not very good attempt, but an attempt to counteract this. I went into drugs because I just physically felt like shit and I was trying to adjust that and make it better. And I ended up doing like way more damage. And so then my body, after 10 years of gnarly drug addiction, was just about broken. It was just about done. Like if I had gone like one more thread lower or past where I went, it would have all broke and that would have been it. So my journey backward has been way harder than I would ever wish on anybody. I wish I hadn't, but it's what it was. But in that journey, one of the things that I had to come back to over and over and over again was how I was treating my body. And not just how I was treating my body in terms of I was putting drugs into it or how I was eating or like, you know, taking supplements and exercising as a means of like treating my temple with respect. Those are definitely important steps and I would advise that for anybody. But that can only take you so far, especially when you're an empath, you're a light worker, you're a star seed. You have these other dimensional aspects going on that are directly affecting your body. And one of the things that I learned from my own journey was the vast majority of my issues, health-wise, came down to me not wanting to be here, not wanting to be human, not wanting to be in the body, having judgments about the body, having judgments about needs, desires, sex, physicality, touch, engaging in the human world. I had a spiritual ego that saw this all as unnecessary, insignificant, childish, and in some ways, you know, it can be. But those judgments and those beliefs that, you know, I needed to be this perfect spiritual being without any attachment to anything, without engaging in any way, shape, or form, the monk in the cave that attains enlightenment and, you know, doesn't need to do anything more than just breathe to find God, and the anger at the system, the anger at, you know, the corruption on this planet and the hijacking of the planet, all of these were manifesting in my physical vessel and ruining my life. But the good news with this is, as you start to change these perceptions and start to heal, particularly the human, your experience changes. But you can't really change these things without getting to some of the root layers. So what are, and I've covered some of them already, some of the reasons why our health deteriorates? Well, a lot of it is childhood trauma. A lot of it is inherited trauma, imprints from your parents, narcissistic abuse, um, being hyper empathic in a matrix and a system that's designed to kind of bring you into fear and terror and anger and division. A lot of it is childhood trauma, but more than that, it's the part of us that created that childhood trauma from a higher perspective to begin with. So if you want to start to heal your body, I'm going to give you three things, three really important things to look at kind of psycho-spiritually to help shift everything for you. One, where is your anger? And what is your anger about as far as being human? This is very tricky because there's a lot of anger at the human experience that can be quite justified, but it doesn't really matter if you just are subconsciously angry at all of it. It's going to manifest physically. You're going to be tired. You're going to get sick a lot. You're going to have hypersensitivity to chemicals, to people, to energetics, to environments, to spaces. Some of this is just being sensitive, but a lot of it comes from a deep-seated anger because you're not accepting what is. You're resisting what is, and therefore you're magnetically drawing it more into your space. So this is a tricky thing to navigate. You might need to work with somebody. You may not, but if you do a lot of meditation, if you have a bit of a spiritual connection, and even if you don't, you can start to just ask your higher self or your soul or whatever you believe to be that's greater than you, why are you mad that you're here? Why are you mad that you're on Earth? Where are your resentments at even having to be human? Because being human is frustrating. It's clunky. It's like we live not very long and then we start to fall apart and deteriorate and break down slowly, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can remediate it a little bit, but it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until you die. There's a lot of stuff here that is total crap, but you can still reframe all of it. Where are these resentments? Write them out. I'm mad that I'm human. I'm mad that I age. I'm mad that I die. I'm mad that this world is so corrupt and evil and there's so much suffering. These are very valid frustrations and they come from a good place. And when you start to iron them out and see them, you can actually give yourself credit for the anger coming from a space of love, and then you start to harmonize the anger and you start to make peace with it and you see it as relevant, but you also can let it go. If you don't know what it is or where it is, it just kind of balls itself up in your body and it wreaks havoc. So the second thing that you can do to make peace with your body is embrace being human. Like, what are the gifts of being human? And embrace being human, and also understand that to be spiritual, like a spiritual being in a human body, means that you're going to be imperfect. A lot of times when we have these spiritual experiences or we have an awakening of some kind, we go into this very blissful space and we feel the interconnectedness to other people, to cosmic consciousness, to source, to whatever it is. And we just want to be done. We just want to carry that with us everywhere we go. And we can become almost kind of hyper obsessed with non-attachment to the point where we think that, like, oh, if we want to have sex, or if we want a nice house, or if we want to make some money because we don't want to die in the streets starving, that means we're unspiritual. It doesn't. It means you're human. You came here to be human. You came here to be in a physical body. You came here to experience the joys and the pleasures of being physical. Okay, there was so much demonization around sexuality, around physicality, around all of it, that we have these deep-seated imprints around, like, enjoying anything. Most of our spirituality is filtered through Old Testament religion still. The self-flagellating monk or nun who was like, oh my God, I had sex. I need to beat myself up and atone for my sins, like, for the next 10 years. I've been watching Game of Thrones recently, which I never got into it before. I like it, but I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this scene where Cersei, the queen, has to atone for something she did. She doesn't atone for, she doesn't admit to the full amount of her sin, whatever. But they walk her through the street naked and shame the fuck out of her. And I remember just like feeling as I'm watching this, all the triggers from all the lifetimes and resonances I have with this sort of mode of like spiritual teaching, and it pissed me off so much. And these are important things to look at. I'll do another video on this, but when you're watching like movies or shows from like older time periods, you can get a very good clue as to what some of your past lives were. But there's this nun who rings this bell, who keeps, as they're walking her through these crowds of people, and like like 12th, 13th, 14th century would be about like what it would match up in in earth terms, just going shame, 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 and they're all screaming at her and throwing shit at her. This is our spiritual perspective of being a human. This is where we develop a lot of the beliefs around being a perfect spiritual being come from. And at any time we're enjoying it, it's a sin. It's a sin. It's a sin to feel good. It's a sin to have a desire. You're bad. You're bad and you need to atone. How many of you are atoning for a whole bunch of shit that you did in a whole bunch of other lifetimes without even realizing you're still atoning for it by suffering physically now? Probably every single person I'm talking to on some level, either from your own personal soul history or your ancestral like codes that have been activated in your body. Because there's so much shame around being physical. There's so much shame around physical pleasures, eating, drinking, fucking, all these things. No, we don't want to do them in excess. No, we don't want to get so externally focused we lose that the answers are inside. But you don't want to shut that out either, because you're demonizing your body and it's going to manifest as sickness. And what is the third thing that you can do? The third thing you can do, and this is something that I'm basically teaching myself by talking right now, is play. Try to have fun. Try to, like when you play physically, it brings you into your body and it brings you into the moment. I started going to a clown school. I'm actually taking a Commedia dell'arte class, and then I'm going to be taking a clown class because that's what I've always wanted to do, because I've basically always known that I need to do that. I've always been like the old, wise, serious soul, who deep down understands it's all a cosmic joke, but brought like these parts of my spiritual ego to heal in this life. And my next rung of evolution isn't more awareness. It's not more monk stuff. It's not gurus. It's not Joe Dispenza. It's not any of that shit. It's turning into a fucking clown. Because that's the divine child. That's the part of us that doesn't take life so seriously or evolution so seriously. And it also brings you into your body. It brings you into the moment. Some people can't attain enlightenment just sitting in a space meditating. Most addicts can't do that. And they need to use their mind in sync with their body. And meditation just doesn't do that. So anything, dancing, performing, acting, music, like movement, these are all things that will help you make peace with it. Like it's okay to be a human. It's important to be a human. You're here to be a human. That's spiritual. The moment is spiritual. Having fun is spiritual. The bliss is in the imperfection. The fun is in the play. The fun is in not taking it seriously. The fun is in allowing yourself to have a body, to allow yourself to have sex, to allow yourself to eat, not in super excess. If you're an empath, if you're a light worker, if you're a starseed, if you've been waking up for a while, you probably got that it's internal first thing going enough. You want to focus on making peace with being human and with your body. Anyway, let me know how this goes for you. Please let me know if you have any comments, revelations, breakthroughs, questions. I always love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I have a free energy clearing in the description below. Other than that, thank you so much. I look forward to next time, and bye-bye.